The next era in public health that we're going to look at is titled the Hygiene Movement. This period extends from about 1840 through the 1870s. Prior to this time, there were no sanitation systems. People just dumped their water, including toilet water, into the streets. There were germs and disease and all kinds of nasty things just in the community's environment. Now we have to remember that at this time, people did not know that germs caused infectious diseases. They felt diseases were caused by miasmas, which were bad smells in the air. Well, if you think about the community, if you're dumping all your trash into the streets, it's going to smell bad. So when people got sick, they would just blame it on these bad smells. So the focus of attention during the hygiene movement was sanitation, and sanitary conditions were the focus of attention and became the basis for improved health. The action framework was taking environmental actions on a community-wide basis, but it was distinct from healthcare. So again, in the hygiene movement, germ theory had not yet been proposed, and the belief was that miasmas caused diseases. The picture here is of a physician from during this time, and if you notice the beak mask, they would put sweet-smelling herbs in the beak of that mask, and they felt that the sweet smells, protected them from getting sick. They inadvertently protected themselves because they're covered from head to toe with this garb, gloves, mask, hat, and shoes, but they did not attribute that to the reason they didn't get sick. They attributed it to the sweet-smelling herbs and spices that were put into the beak of the mask. Let's now look at some important individuals during this period. The first one being John Snow. John Snow is considered to be the father of epidemiology. He was an English physician and a leader in the adoption of anesthesia and medical hygiene. So his work can be traced back to a cholera outbreak in Soho, England in 1854. And there's the story of the Broad Street pump that's very famous in public health that we're going to look at a short video in just a moment to give you some background on it. But if you're interested in John Snow, there is an extensive website on John Snow that's housed by UCLA.
London, England. In 1854, the largest city in the industrial world, with a population of 2.5 million, and the smelliest one. Raw sewage is dumped straight into the streets and river. Underground streams and wells are polluted by leaking cesspools and sewers. London stinks, and death takes its toll. In the summer of 1854, another devastating cholera epidemic breaks out. It strikes the Soho neighbourhood of London. In a single night, 200 people show signs of the deadly disease. Within hours, they die of dehydration. 10 days later, over 600 people are dead. Most people believe the disease is spread by foul-smelling air. But a young doctor has another theory. John Snow suspects cholera is spread by contaminated water. The doctor starts investigating. Going door to door, he keeps track of all cholera cases in Soho. Drawing a dot for each case on a map, a pattern emerges. The cases concentrate in a small area around Broad Street. What's the link between these people? They all take their drinking water from the water pump in Broad Street. John Snow is sure the Broad Street pump is the killer. The doctor persuades local authorities to remove the pump handle. No handle, no water, no more cases of cholera. The outbreak stops. John Snow simply gathered and plotted data points. Then he turned this data into actionable insight. People like John Snow started a revolution in healthcare that is still going on.
So what did John Snow do? Here's a physician who observes many people dying from cholera, and cholera was really nasty. You got diarrhea, you vomited, and you basically died of dehydration very quickly. It was not a pleasant death, very contagious. So what he did is he went around the community to determine who got cholera and who didn't. And if you look on the map, he plotted all of the different places where people got sick. And you'll notice that there's a clustering here, and here's where the pump is. So he concluded, or he hypothesized, that the water from the pump was making people sick. Now, what evidence did he have that supported this about people who didn't get sick? Because not everyone got cholera. And one of the things that he found was at this workhouse here, people lived here who worked in the community, but they did not use the water from the pump. They had a private source. They didn't get sick. That supports his hypothesis that the water from the Broad Street pump was causing the cholera outbreak. The next piece of evidence he had that was an anomaly was there's a brewery here, which is very close to the pump. You would think people that came to the brewery would get ill, but they weren't drinking the pump water. They were drinking the beer. So that would also support people drinking the water from the pump at Broad Street got sick. That was the source of the disease. A third anomaly was that there were people that lived in this area who are by a pump who got sick. Well, he found that the pump water that they got from their local community didn't taste good, that they would come and get water from the Broad Street pump because it was better tasting, therefore supporting that this was the cause of the disease. So considering all of this data, Dr. Snow came to the conclusion that the water from the Broad Street pump was the source of the cholera outbreak. He had the pump handle removed and the outbreak subsided. This process of collecting data is called epidemiology, and it's an important field within public health today. And John Snow is known as the father of epidemiology.